Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. We're just going to focus on Bitcoin, and that's all we really need to think about right now. Obviously, the market's taking a nice step up at the moment, but look, I just need to say that first of all, I'm not very convinced at the moment that this is any kind of reversal. It's certainly a nice pump or a pump, as we like to say, but at the moment we're still technically in a downtrend, and it sounds crazy, and I know it's probably upsetting to hear. I'm not saying that we are in a downtrend and we're going to continue to go down. I think though, until we reclaim areas at least of 57,000, the centre of this Bollinger Band on the daily, and then probably even a test up to between 60,000 and then back down to that zone here. I'm looking for this to potentially be rejected at any point. Now, yesterday we broke above and closed above and opened this morning above the 10 exponential, which is the first sign of any kind of recovery. Definitely is. And we're testing the green 50 exponential moving average at the moment, which would be great because basically previously we haven't closed below there since we broke out of 10,000 really, and even then when we had these significant pullbacks, we came down to be supported upon that again, back down to supported above it, and then we broke down below it. So technically, this is a very strong support, or should have been, and it's also could very well act as a very strong resistance zone. Now, I'm not saying that it can't break. Obviously, we are in the bull market. Technically speaking, we're in the bull market. But until we close above there, and then incrementally make steps back up and reclaim these moving averages, which so far, the majority or the most important ones are. Well, I say two of the most important ones are still above us. Very, very heavy rejection points over here. If they turn out to be that, then this could, at any point, even this very moment right now, 55,000, could be our lower high. So I know it's it's hard to especially when we're looking at something that's potentially rolling over, going into a downtrend. We've had this huge pullback, massive dump, almost you could call it a dump really. In comparison to these other pullbacks, this was pretty fast. Pretty much no green candles in here whatsoever. This one was pretty bad. This one had at least a little bounce and before it broke down. This one broke straight down really quite fast. But from top to bottom, it's still not as bad as the previous breakdown. So that's 27%. I think the one prior to that was probably a little less than that, or maybe about the same. Yeah, it's about 17%. But so this one over here was so far has been the worst, and this one corresponds to a much heavier read on the money flow index on the weekly. And speaking of the money flow index on the daily here, now we are trickling down to an area where we're below the 20 zone. So normally this doesn't really happen, and when it does happen, it's not like the RSI. When we get a low read on the RSI and go, oh, it's oversold, buy it. That's not really the case for the money flow index. We can have a very low money flow index and then still go lower, and it's a volume indicator, not price. It's volume. So if volume's failing to enter the market, yet price is going up, it's kind of a contradiction. It would lend itself to the fact that might not be able to support its price at the current level. It does lend itself to more of a pullback than a continuation, until we start to get a turn up. Then that's really when you start to trade this as something. You don't trade it because it's just making lower lows and lower lows. That's not the way to go about it. You could get significantly damaged on doing that kind of thing. As you can see here, very low read on the money flow index, continued to go down thereafter. Low read on the money flow index. We did have a bounce definitely, but overall, I mean, it did end up coming down further and further. Very low read there, and a higher read there, but a lower low. So money flow index isn't to be used like that. It's not the same as an RSI, and because we're not moving up, and the price is moving up, it does make me a little bit skeptical of how this is actually going to play out as of right now. So I'm not like I say, I'm not a perma bear. I'm not a perma bull either. I'm just trading these charts as they present themselves, and they can be quite conflicting, definitely. When a trend is just beginning, which is what this is doing. This could potentially still be, and actually is in a way. We're yet to confirm a lower high, but it more or less is still a downtrend, and the bears still do have the upper hand. on the daily chart at least anyway. Weekly chart is kind of different, but the bulls still have it over here. We're above the 20 weekly, that's all good. We're above the 21, that's also good. And as far as this chart is concerned, so long as we're above these zones, we're okay. And the money flow index actually here is one of those things that I do hold some relevance to. This is performing nicer, so you can see on the weekly, it's not like how we're viewing this on the daily, where we're basically coming down and continuing to go down. On the weekly, we've had this stair-stepped approach, bounce, 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 and looks like we're having this bounce now, and this is kind of what we were expecting. We've been talking about this for months now. Wherever Bitcoin is at the time, this could potentially be the bottom of this. So I'm not, like I say, I don't want to come across as a bear or anything like that, saying that I think the downtrend's in play and is going to continue and we're all going to die. That's not my intention. It's for me, it's all about trading carefully and cautiously. Now, the good thing is that on the 4 hourly, how we were viewing this the first time round, we did say that we had bullish divergence taking place on the 4 hourly. So you had a low here with a very low wick. We had a higher low here with a lower wick. And then I said, look, next time we have a pullback, there's a chance that we'll bounce from there. And that bounce, in my opinion, has played out. This zone here, 55,777, basically where the 200 exponential moving average is going to be the first nod in favour of the bulls, reclaiming that. As that's above the centre of the top of the Bollinger Band at the moment, that's a very significant resistance zone right there, right now. So the 4 hourly's got resistance above us. Daily's got resistance above us, and the only thing we've got going for us really is the weekly. And then just because the weekly has that trend doesn't mean that it can't break down from below that trend. It doesn't mean that it has to bounce just because it's done this every time and that we've hit this trend line. We had a significant bounce and a continuation of the rally. Doesn't mean that it'll have to do it again. This can't go on forever, as this is an uptrend of support, which will eventually reach to 100%. So it will have to break down at some point. So whether it breaks down this time or the next time or whenever, it will break down one day. So just because there's a support there right now doesn't mean that it won't break down. Of course it's going to break down. It is inevitable that it will break down one day. So, I mean, there's no real easy way to put this, and I suppose, some YouTubers might give you the bullish case, some YouTubers might give you the bearish case, and they'll stick to that, and one of those YouTubers will come out on top. But me personally, I don't think it's the responsible thing to give one particular opinion over this, when we are basically conflicting in our opinions on different time frames. So the weekly looks good, but obviously could be vulnerable to a breakdown. But at the moment it looks okay. The daily is trying to reclaim some zones here, but so far hasn't done it, and could just simply be putting in a lower high. Money flow index is my main concern over here, definitely. So basically the volume is low, yet the price is rallying. Those things generally don't last. I mean, it's not what I would expect to see from a money flow index when we've had such a significant bounce here with price. We have gone in the space of 2 days 17% on Bitcoin without really without any real difference in this read here. In fact, essentially just making a tiny little up spike yesterday and a further down today. So I think it could probably, it does run the risk of being sold into as fast as it was as it gained in its value yesterday. So it is worrying and concerning to me, and it does lend us to the idea that we will continue with a downtrend. As much as that sounds disappointing to people, especially as we've seen everything go up so nicely today, it does lend itself to me. That's how I'm going to interpret this move, unfortunately. But again, the weekly still has it for the moment. We can still sustain a lower low on this and still be okay. 45,000 certainly is a decent area for a bounce over here, and actually still remaining in a very decent uptrend on the weekly. That wouldn't concern me at all if that happens, and I'd actually be in favour of that. It would still keep the integrity of the money flow index over here. It would still keep the integrity of the overall uptrend over here, but it wouldn't be a contrived move on some of these lower term time frames, like the daily, for instance, which does does concern me. And again, yeah, the 4 hourly does appear to be overreaching at the moment. Let's have a look over here. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's very difficult to call, and I'm not prepared to actually make a call on it. And you'll have to gravitate to some other YouTubers that are a bit more, I suppose, willing to stick their neck out with a certain decision. But if I really had to say right now, and again, it's not enough for me to leverage or anything like that, do anything crazy, but if I really had to say, I would expect to see this top getting formed, if not now, maybe just a little bit higher, 56, 57, and then that would be our top for the moment, and then make our way down to a lower low, maybe 45,000 or so. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. We've got the live stream tonight for Patreon users, and yeah, if you want to be a Patreon member, there's a link below. We'll look at all the altcoins and anything you want to look at over the next over a 2-hour period. You get to do 2 of those every week. Other than that, the Telegram's free. There's a link for that below, as well as many exchange affiliate links that will give you little benefits. Other than that, though, have a nice day and take it easy.